Financial burden during marriage. Me 28M and my girlfriend 33F are planning to get married soon. I am a foreigner in China. As most of the Chinese family have a tradition of giving kaili, dowry, to girls' parents, she says I have to do it too. I thought it would be around a certain amount, my 1-month salary, but she says must give her parents about 2 months of salary. I was reluctant, but agreed on that. Moreover, she says I have to give her around my 5-month salary, just because she is the one to bear child, and cannot work for few months and stuffs. Of course, I will certainly take care of my wife and child. But she is insisting, must give it to her so that she feels secure. Note that we will have 2 weddings, one at her home which will be hosted by her family, and one at my home, which will be hosted by my family. This has given me second thoughts about marriage. But I love her so much, and we are compatible too. Have you faced any such complications in your relationship? What did you do? Edit. Thank you for so many different insights to this situation. I didn't expect it to get these many responses. Most of the comments were to confirm with local people. I confirmed, the amount she told me is very low as compared to the dowry most of the Chinese men give. Yeah, I've already bought the ring, and she told me that her family will provide us with furnitures for apartment after our marriage. However, most of the financial aspects will be up to me after marriage, as my income is higher than that of her. Some people also told me to discuss with my family. But I am afraid I can't do that. My parents won't agree to it. They would feel like some sort of extortion, as they are unfamiliar to the culture here in China. I used to feel the same when I used to hear all these stories about how Chinese men have to pay a lump of money to get married. But after understanding the norms that they grew up in, I can relate to her way of thinking. To summarize, I've found the amount she asked me is very low as compared to the normal marriage here. I am willing to give it to her, as that might make her financially stable during her difficult times. However, I will still discuss her expectations, and her willingness to share the financial burden when needed. Growing up in the Chinese culture, the dowry and 2 marriages make sense to me. The extra 5 months of your salary though I'm not sure. Is there a reason you're concerned about that? Is it just too high of an amount? I would offer to put it in a shared bank account. It also just sounds like backup savings in case of emergency, which shouldn't be a big deal if you're planning on having a child together. From what I know about dowries, it's usually based on a lucky number rather than purposely having you give up a certain number of months' salary, and sometimes is paid from the groom's family. The same could be for the savings amount she's asking for. Maybe she has a budget set up in her mind for why she needs it. In Islam, it's also mandatory for the man to give dowry to the wife. He has to give her a set amount just in case of divorce, widow situation, financial hardship, or whatever the woman is insisting on. It has to be reasonable for both. It's fairly common but new for Westerners. It's to make sure the girl has financial security to get her feet running again if anything happens to her, the kids, and/or the husband if he's not able to be in her life. It wouldn't be used right away. Now, you're going to be marrying into Chinese culture. This means their practices and customs will be very different. Come to an agreement and pay her a dowry of a lesser amount. If she can't agree on anything, don't move forward. Couple of things. At 33 she is way above AVG age to get married in China, and this might be a mercenary attempt to, as she says, extract security from the rich foreigner, because OFC you are all rich. Do her parents know how much you make? If it's way more than the average local doing your job, I would suggest something more, AVG, plus 20% for their gift. As for this and her security payment tradition, go talk to some of your coworkers, boss about this, they will tell you what they usually do, but to me this sounds like bullshit. I have several expat friends who married mainland Chinese. I'm half Chinese and there's seriously a ton of customs and traditions which I don't follow, but that's because I don't live in China. For you and your fiancé, it's different. There's a lot of people here in Reddit, Westerners mostly, who will be so ready to tell you that she's milking you dry. Take their words with a grain of salt because they don't know anything about the culture they're commenting on. Discuss this instead with local Chinese friends who'd be able to tell you straight about the customs. Also, discuss with your fiancé what other traditions are expected to be upheld. Clarity on expectations here is important so you know what you're getting into. My understanding was that something like half of what you give the parents will be returned to you and your wife. And they will presumably use some of it to pay for your wedding. I have many Chinese friends. There's another custom where you go back to China every single year. And another where the men have to buy their wives' girlfriends' designer handbags as a status thing among their friends. There are many things you are required such as paying someone to live in your house after the baby is born. There are benefits though. Usually the grandparents provide free childcare. It's very money-focused. I would be finding out what other things you will be required to do before proceeding. My fiancée is Chinese. Her family's expectations are not unusual. I would pay it. You're planning to spend the rest of your life with her, have kids with her. At the very least respect her culture. I'm not Chinese but I do live in a patriarchal society, and if she isn't going to work for a while I completely understand why she needs money to make sure you won't leave her with a child, no job and no money. I think you should speak to your fiancé about this. If this is too much money to be saved up, maybe you should hold off on kids or wait until you have a higher salary. Another option is having a solid prenup that she feels comfortable with, so that she would be getting something if you guys don't work out, although IDK under which law you two are getting married. Personally I think you need to be open with her about how you feel about this and respect her POV. My boyfriend wants to try oral but I've always disliked the idea of it, what do I do? So the other day my 20F boyfriend, 20M, brought up the idea of trying oral. We've never done it before because I never liked the idea of it. I've always had an unhealthy relationship with sex so I'm still exploring a lot of things with him. I don't want to let him down and outright say no so I said I'd think about it. But for me it just feels so humiliating. A bit of context. I almost got forced into giving and receiving oral from an ex-boyfriend and I had to physically fight him off me to make it stop. Since then I've had a big aversion to oral. So I'm just wondering what I can do in this situation. I'm honestly at a loss. Too long did not read. My boyfriend wants to try oral but I'm against it due to almost being sexually assaulted with it. Edit. For those asking, I have now talked to my boyfriend about what happened and we'll be having a proper talk about it later. I will update with how it goes. Honestly, regardless of your reasons why your opinion is valid. But maybe explain why you have a aversion to it. Maybe start doing hand stuff and work up to getting your face closer to it. Position yourself further down his body each time. And also receiving, if that's a issue too. But regardless if you're never comfortable, that absolutely okay. And you should explain to him why you have this issue and that you don't know if you can work past it but that you'll try. Maybe start receiving. Also, doing it after a shower may reduce any hygiene concerns you may have, even subconsciously. I don't want to let him down and outright say no so I said I'd think about it. But for me it just feels so humiliating. Just tell him that you've had a traumatic experience in the past and that you still need some time to work through things. If he's a decent guy, he'll give you all the time you need. Just tell him had a traumatized experiences and make sure you don't give the idea you need only time to be ready for it. Because some folks take that as one day it will happen, I just need to wait, but it may never happen and then turn salty. And beside, if he a good person he understand it immediately and don't try to push anything. Tell him that at the moment you are not interested because you have actual trauma related to the topic. See if you can work out something together then on. I am still icky about oral, because the fluids irk me, I am sensitive to particular smells, and also, the gag reflex. Oh, and it's actually a skill that I did not have and still struggle with. But he's been super patient with me, and seeing him working so hard to please me, I'm slowly getting more and more used to stuff that I didn't want to do before, and now I am more comfortable with the idea of oral. So communicate and take it slow. Hello, I think your feelings are valid. But if you still want to at least try, you should start slowly and step by step. First, maybe trying to be on the receiving end could ease you into it. Starting with soft kisses around the area, just to get used to the proximity of it. Then escalating things slowly. Edit. I saw another Redditor telling you that showering right before doing it could be a good idea. I agree. Sometimes we feel self-conscious, thinking, oh, what if it smells weird to him, her, and it's preventing you from enjoying it. A shower is a really good idea. Thumbs up. Light skin tone. I'm so glad you talked to your boyfriend and are working through stuff in therapy. Like everyone else already mentioned, you should obviously just do what you're comfortable with in the moment. I just wanted to add that oral, like all sex, can be very different from what you see in porn. Some people prefer it to be very gentle, like soft little kisses in the area, just slowly caressing your partner with your lips and hands. Just find out what you like. In the end, sex with your partner should be about intimacy and bringing you closer. There is no rush, you don't have to have it all figured out. Hi there, was just taking a look at your post history and I really advise looking for some help. I am not necessarily talking about a therapist. Maybe books, or there are some pretty good philosophy channels or even a friend. The thing about sex, at least from my point of view, is that you need to feel safe and good about yourself in order to really enjoy it, and between abusive ex and douchebags annoying you online, there are few changes for you to really get into it. My boyfriend left me alone last night when I told him that I really needed him. For a little context, me, 24F, and my boyfriend, 26M, have been together for 2.5 years. He is a good person but can sometimes be a bit out of touch when it comes to the relationship part of things. He also has a drinking problem where he can't stop once he starts. Because of this, I've had to take him to the hospital several times for his post-bender anxiety, including the last final I ever had for college. Okay Reddit, hear me out. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday after having a miscarriage last week. I didn't even know I was pregnant and the appointment was just to make sure everything was okay and they gave me the pill to fully terminate the pregnancy. Obviously with COVID, he wouldn't be able to come in the office with me, which is fine because it wasn't a procedure or anything to be nervous about, so he still went into work. After my appointment, I went out to get some comfort food and snacks so that I can relax and take it easy for the night, even picking up stuff that he likes so we can enjoy everything together. As time goes on, I haven't heard from him at all and I'm starting to feel a lot of pain and cramping. I take the pain medication the doctors gave me and a little while later, I'm fine and just ready to go to bed. Because of his drinking history, I texted him that if he's drunk to just stay at his brother's house so I can get some sleep and not have to worry about him tonight. Q15 calls in a row while I'm in the bathroom cleaning up for bed. My whole body is sore and I just texted his brother and asked him to make sure my boyfriend gets back to his place okay from wherever the hell he is. I go to bed, put on a Harry Potter movie and fall asleep. A couple hours later, I'm awoken to the sound of my drunk boyfriend falling up the stairs and he falls on top of me, making my cramps 100x worse. He tries to cuddle up next to me but I push him away telling him not to touch me. An hour later, he wakes me up and asks what he did wrong. I just ignored him and went back to sleep. This morning he is apologizing saying that he just went out for a drink with friends and lost track of time. I just lost it and yelled that I've been there for him through every single medical emergency he had and the one time I needed him to comfort me, he goes out and gets blackout drunk? He apologized and said that he took off work today so he can make it up to me but I told him that I'm going to work to get away from him for the day and that I really need to have some space. I know that he can't understand what I'm going through but is there something I'm missing on his part? I just don't know what to do at this point. He's an alcoholic. You might be missing that part. That makes him inherently unreliable. It sounds like this incident was the straw that broke the camel's back. This isn't about one night, it's about the fact that your boyfriend is an active addict and seems to have no interest in managing his drinking. If you don't want to just leave, it's ultimatum time. He gets help for his drinking, now, today, or you're gone. Yes, you do know what to do. Cut him loose. He has a drinking problem that has resulted in multiple hospital visits. He is 26 entire ass years old and doesn't understand that if you had a doctor's appointment over terminating a pregnancy, that maybe he should at least call to see how you were doing. About that drinking problem, he just returned home so drunk that he fell on you. You know, after you were sore from a medical procedure. He is out of touch because you bend over backwards to coddle him, driving him to the hospital during finals, and he gets to act like a 19-year-old with a fake ID without consequences. But is there something I'm missing on his part? He also has a drinking problem. No, you already know the problem. Alcohol is more important than you. Time to issue the ultimatum. Either the alcohol goes and completely no more booze passing his lips ever, or you do. You don't need to live like that, coming in second place to a bottle. This guy sounds pretty awful. If he knows he can't stop drinking once he starts, why does he even start? That's hugely irresponsible. He should absolutely know better at his age. What would have happened if your pregnancy wouldn't have turned into a miscarriage? Would you have stayed with him, get him to the hospital blackout drunk, even at the risk of your pregnancy or your own health? In any case, I think you know what to do. This guy is an incredible liability in your life and you absolutely don't need it. You deserve better. Edit. Grammar, typing error. Hun. I say this with all the love in the world, and I also speak from experience as a raging alcoholic. Do not be in a relationship with an alcoholic. We are unreliable liars. You will always be second to alcohol, as he has just shown. No matter how wonderful he is sober, the drunk monster is always lurking around the corner and will come out eventually. I feel bad for my husband every day. He has to listen to me drunkenly berate him over nonsense, freak out when my drinking made me fuck up at work, and watch me go through withdrawal. Please don't make this your life. Leave him. You are just enabling a drinking problem and getting no support in return. You are not in a relationship with this guy. You are his side piece. Alcohol is his partner and his love, and you are going to continue to be treated like a side piece as long as you're with him. You can't force him to quit, all you can do is leave. I'm sorry about your miscarriage and everything you've been going through. Should I let this be the fight that ends my relationship? I've, 24M, been with my girlfriend, 21F, since August 2020. We've known each other for a couple years, so we didn't wait too long to move in together, by December 2020. We've had a lot of really good times, and been through a lot together. I really have loved her throughout the relationship, but lately I have been becoming awake to the reality that she is dangerously abusive. There's been more than one time where she's left me with huge bruises, broke the skin from biting. She's given me multiple scars from clawing me with her nails. She's even swung pots at my head so hard it stained my wall and bounced into another when I ducked and threatened me knives. The biggest problem though is that she'll just scream and start flailing around loudly and has sometimes even acted like she'd call the police. Once she actually did, but she played nice when they showed up. It doesn't take much to get her to violence. If she's in the wrong mood she'll do it without warning if I'm talking too much. That's what happened the night before last, when she hit me and started screaming and biting me because I tried to talk to her when she had a headache. Yesterday I had to work, she stays home, and played nice until I got home and asked her to stop being violent. This got her to actually threaten to hit me and get in my face because it's my fault when she's violent because I get her there. I skirted a fine line but brought up several recent altercations she's had in public with others and the fact that she's always talking about her mom losing it the same way. She just told me she doesn't care about me or my future, how I'm not a man and must be a bitch if I ask her to stop, how she doesn't want to sleep with me anymore because I'm not the bad boy she always wanted. She threatened to leave like always and I said be gone by tomorrow, today. We did talk a bit more eventually but she said she doesn't remember or care about much of our relationship. That she doesn't want to change the way she acts, and that she can't open up with me because of my personality. I guess I know what I should do. We were gonna get a puppy but I think that would be bad for it 'cause she screams so much. It's not an entirely negative relationship, but I think I deserve to be violence-free. Problem is, she got a flight a whole week out. I said change it to sooner or find somewhere to stay. She threatened to do so with a random guy. I said go for it. Then she threatened that her friend would send my mom our sex tapes 'cause my mom blocked her when she called her in a fight and said she raised a bitch. Should I try to get her out ASAP? TLDR. Girlfriend is verbally and physically abusive and threatened to leave when I said stop or I'm done. Won't get a flight sooner than a week. What do? Dude. Call the cops and have them escort her and her shit out and file a restraining order. Let them know she's going to release revenge porn. You should record audio, video from now on when you talk to her. Having proof of her violence and your reactions can save you a lot of legal victim blaming later. And could help get a restraining, protective order if she gets crazy or stalkery. Good God. She's dangerous. Of course you should let this be the fight that ends the relationship. I'm mortified enough at the thought that it's your fault she feels the way she feels. Newsflash. It's not. The violence is just the icing on the cake. Run and don't look back. She wants someone who's as abusive as she is or even more abusive so she can be dominated I guess. I don't know why you stayed so much with such a person. It doesn't matter how many good times you had if she starts acting like that when she's mad. Run and don't look back. Had a friend whose ex-wife was like this. Came over to his house once and I could hear her screaming at him outside the door. She was mad about something and someone coming over set her off. I heard her yelling, "Stop hitting me," over and pounding on the front door. I was about to intervene but looked in the window first. He was standing in the middle of the room with his arms crossed and she was pounding her own head into the door. She called the cops. I told them what I seen. They checked his hands and not a mark on them and she was a bloody mess. She went to jail after she got out of Run. To get your answer read your post from a girl's perspective with her boyfriend being violent. Jesus dude, get her the fuck away from you before she kills you.